everybody and welcome to the first official instalment of the 100 Movies Bucket List series here on CM42 TV with me, Chris Moffat, as we're about to tick off and scratch off the first film on our poster. Let's go back to yesterday when I done that very thing. Okay, here we go. What will be the first film to scratch off the 100 Movies Bucket List poster? Where is it located? It's located right here. Boom. Gladiator from 2000, Ridley Scott, classic. It's time to review it, but first, let's scratch off with this lovely CEX assisted thing. It's time to do it. Ready? I've got one take at doing this. Whoa! What's happening? Oh! Holy God! Oh shit! This is taking longer than expected, but look at this. Here we go. I've got some good, bad, and ugly as well, but there you go. There's the picture. A wee Viking thing on an orange background. There's the first film to be scratched off. And as if by magic, we're a day later and Gladiator is no more on the movie poster. So it's really cool actually scratching them off. It shows the picture and reveals the thing. It's really cool. Anyway, this is the first official instalment. And for the first official instalment, we're here to talk about an absolute classic from 2000, Ridley Scott's masterpiece, which is entitled Gladiator. Now, you know, I've seen this film before, but it was one of those ones where everybody has these films, and it's funny, it tends to be like these blockbuster ones, and I think that's because like blockbuster films are often like shown on TV and stuff, but like Gladiators, you know, has been on TV loads before, so I think it was one of those times where it was a few years ago, you know, maybe family were up or we were celebrating a birthday or something like that, and Gladiator was on the TV and we're kind of watching it through there, but like other stuff's going on and like maybe eating something, I don't know what it was. I just knew that I'd like to, you know, revisit Gladiator, watch it, turn everything else off and focus on this 2-hour and 50-minute film, which I'll get to in a bit. So I did, and I always remember Gladiator just being this epic, just absolutely awesome picture where, you know, there's loads of great battles going on and it's set in sort of Roman time and swords and shields and this badass sort of thing, especially Russell Crowe being this sort of bad MFer, and that's not a Matt Attitude follower, not that. I had this memory in my head that's just this sort of amazing, cool film. So that's kind of what I was going in with, and I think that's always a bad thing. I try to stay away from, you know, watching these big marquee films like that, you know, when there's stuff going on and stuff. I really like to sort of focus on films. That's why I love going to the cinema, you know, there's no distractions, or at least you hope there's no distractions. You can just be one with the film and you can escape everything else and just, you know, invest in this film. So films like Gladiator and stuff, I think is very important to do that, because obviously in my head going into this sort of rewatching, you know, occasion, I'm thinking this big awesome thing's about to unfold in front of my eyes, and although that did happen, I would be lying to tell you that I wasn't a little bit underwhelmed. This film is not as good as I remember it being. It's also not as good as everybody says it is. Now don't get me wrong, this is a classic. It's an epic film, it really is. I mean, you're taken aback by the pictures created on the screen, about some just awesome dialogue written, and also the fight scenes in terms of choreography and stuff. I thought Russell Crowe was absolutely outstanding in this film. I haven't seen him in much, you know, I've seen him in a few things, but just an amazing performance by Russell Crowe, and I think that's universally shared. A not so good performance though was, whatever you ever pronounce his name, Joaquin Phoenix or whatever. I thought he was pish. to not beat around the bush, I thought he was a bit pish. And here's my issue with this film, the biggest thing, other than the fact of being too long, right? Now, I understand that, you know, lots of classic films are near enough 3 hours, or sometimes even more than 3 hours. Cough, cough, Lord of the Rings or Godfather 2 or whatever, you know. And that's fine, they have the right to be, and, you know, whatever. But I just feel like this film was made in 2000 as well, you know, and maybe back in 2000, there was only maybe a few films before this that really had this sort of, you know, subject matter and this impact on people. So I guess people were expecting 2 hours and 50 minutes of awesomeness, and they got that, and that was great. 18 years later, you know, cinema's evolved a lot, and we see a lot of this stuff all the time in films, you know. And Game of Thrones, for example. Now, I'm not a Game of Thrones fan because I've never really watched it, and I think I would really enjoy it. And I think I really need to get on that at some point, but it's never really been my thing. I've never really pulled the trigger on it. I kind of watched the first episode and never really went back to it, so Game of Thrones is like everybody's favourite show, or at least one of them anyway, you know what I mean? It's the same sort of thing in terms of fighting and that sort of the dialogue and the names and that sort of thing from like Gladiator. I think everybody's so used to that sort of thing now, and even films like Viking, or a TV show like Vikings, or any other, you know, films that have came out in this sort of way, people are kind of getting used to it now. So obviously back in 2000, this was a huge film, and it was, you know, very impactful, and everybody was like, whoa, you have to check out this film. I don't know if this film holds up as well as some other films from even before the year 2000. My point of that was, I went on a tangent there, but the fact that it's 2 hours and 50 minutes is a fine length for a film, obviously, but I feel like it's 2018, going into a film with an expectation of it being great or easy to watch. In 2018, it's so accessible to, you know, pick up your phone and go on Twitter and that sort of thing, and check the laptop and, you know, do whatever, and distractions happening left, right and centre. So to have a film for 2 hours and 50 minutes, it has to be really, really good and really addicting, if, you know, for the full time, you know. Because 2 hours and 50 minutes is a long time of a young man's life, or a young woman's life, or whatever, you know, these days. And it obviously was back in the day, but just I'm speaking from my point of view. So I did think it was quite long. That being said though, you know, the fight sequences and stuff really did help bring the film along. So another thing that I didn't like about this film as well, I think the film was absolutely made for the cinema. Now, I would have loved to have seen this film in the cinema, because you're 100% focused on the film, and that's fine. You kind of don't really notice that it's 2 hours and 50. You know, you can see Star Wars Last Jedi was 2.5. Infinity War was 2.5, and you don't really notice yet. You know it's long and stuff, and you're like, after it, you're like, oh my god, that was a long film. But you're not like, when is this film going to end? Can't believe it's still going. Not to mention that the last half an hour of this film, other than the main thing that happened, obviously that happened at the end of the film, but a lot of that stuff is just, you know, there's music playing and there's slow walking and the credits are about to roll, and it's a lot of looking about and checking if this person's okay or whatever. And I was kind of shouting at the TV like, just get on with it. Do you know what I mean? So that a lot of things, it could have been easily been shorter. It could have easily been 2.5 hours by far, even nearer to 2 hours on its own. And it just feels a bit repetitive in terms of he's going for another battle, and then, you know, Maximus is going for another win, and you know what's going to happen. And then, however, you know, a lot of these scenes were assisted with this sort of build up, you know, the scene where Caesar's there and he sees Maximus again after he's murdered his family and stuff, and he sees as a slave that's winning all this adulation from the crowd and stuff. I mean, it was made for the cinema, right? And what I mean by that is it happens a lot, I think it's a lot about that sort of time frame, early 2000s. It happens a lot when you rewatch these films. You need to kind of sit with the remote control in your hand, right? And what I mean by that is you need to kind of adjust the volume at all times, right? So when they're talking, especially in this film, I'll get to that in a second, oh my god, you know, it's really quiet, you need to turn up the volume. And then when we get to like a real, you know, huge battle fight sequence, you need to turn the volume down because you're waking up half the neighbours because it's so loud, you know? Not even like, oh, I need to be careful, my dad's sleeping or whatever. That wasn't the case at all. I'm just saying it was so loud and it makes you uncomfortable, and it's like, oh god, you need to turn the volume down. So I had my hand on the volume button for the majority of the film, which is a total distraction, it's a total off-put, you know. Another thing I didn't like, maybe it was this sort of time, or maybe it was the style of the film, I don't know. Maybe it was the actors, I don't know. But so much mumbling, so much just, you know, absolutely glancing over words. You know, this is just some epic and I know very difficult dialogue. Maybe it's me who has studied film, who has studied acting in my life for the past 4 or 5 years of my life, that I'm pointing these things out to myself. But my god, is that just like not understanding the script, or is that lazy directing by Ridley Scott? You know what I mean? Like, the legendary director Ridley Scott isn't picking up on this. Like, I'm sitting looking at the TV, watching the film, like, wake up! You know what I mean? Russell Crowe was bad for it as well. Joaquin Phoenix, whatever his name is, was really bad for it. The only person that wasn't was feckin' his wife, or his sister, or whatever she was. She was fine. I understood everything she said. But the main two characters, oh, I can't wait for this to happen. Open your mouth! Couldn't believe it. I was disappointed. I was like, I can't understand what they're saying. And it's not like you can rewind it and, you know, it's already taken up nearly 3 hours of my life. I don't want to watch it again. So that annoyed me. You know, like, oh my god, maybe it was the way they spoke back in Roman times or whatever. You know what I mean? But like, my god, it's a film, and I know we're trying to make it like, God, that's the way it was back in the day, and it was very like hush hush, and there was a lot of whispering going on, and you didn't want people to know what you were doing, blah 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 blah. But I mean, it's a film that we're all trying to enjoy, and you're trying to make this timeless classic in the year 2000 that people now, you know, we're going to be talking about in the year 2018 and beyond. We have to understand the majority of what's being said. I missed key points of the story because of, you know, that sort of thing. That being said, though, in terms of the imagery that's created, it's just amazing. I know that was an incredibly wanky thing to say, But yeah, it just was, man. Things like when Maximus goes back home and he sees his child and his wife hung and murdered and crucified or whatever it was. Like, what a scene, you know. And I thought in another instance that he's so good, you know, Russell Crowe in this film. And lots of the stuff with the horses, you know, running and the battles, the fight sequences, choreography were unbelievable. They held up great. But a lot of the stuff was just really disappointing. And I was like, why is that happening? I didn't want that to happen. I wanted to understand them. I was fully engaged, and that, because of that, was making me distracted and making me want to check Instagram or whatever. You know what I mean? It's disappointing. It's underwhelming. I hate when that happens, and I really hope, you know, other films in this series, you know, classic films like The Godfather and all that nonsense. But I know there is a lot of mumbling, you know, parts that you've seen of The Godfather before and things like that. Goodfellas or whatever, you know. And I know it's a character trait, and I know it's a character choice by the actors, but like, you just wouldn't catch people these days doing that unless specifically told. And if they are told that, I'd be shocked, because Ridley Scott did Alien and all these great films where you totally know what's going on at all times. So that was a little bit... To be fair, I'm thinking about it now, Blade Runner's quite bad for that. You know, a lot of sort of monotone, you can't really understand what they're saying. So, disappointed in that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I didn't like about it or liked about it, but overall, what an absolutely epic film. It is just a belter, it's a screamer. Happy I started with this one, because I like to sort of space out time between watching classic films, you know. I'm happy I don't have to watch this one for another little while. Not that I would, because it's a really long film and, you know, the mumbling. But I would be interested in watching this film with earphones and subtitles on. And I know that sounds a bit like an exaggeration, but I was really sort of like... I'm gutted about that, because I was really enjoying the film, and, you know, that sort of thing, that sort of style isn't really my thing, you know. But yeah, I really enjoyed it though, you know, overall. I know it sounds like I'm being quite bitter about it, but not at all. The film is epic. It is awesome. It is super duper, you know. But there is some things you just... It's not, you know, top whatever, you know what I mean? It's an epic. It's in the 1001 movies you must see before you die book. It's in there. It's on the 100 movies bucket list poster, you know. And it is for a reason, because it is an important film, and it inspired so many more TV shows like Game of Thrones and Vikings and that sort of thing these days, through the style of it and stuff. So epic film, good one to start off with, and thank you for watching. This has been episode 1, film number 1, film review number 1, and it's going to be like this a lot. There's no, I have no script or anything. I have nothing really planned to say. I don't like the phrase review because it sounds all official and stuff. I just kind of like talking about the film, and talking about my experience with the film. Forgot to mention as well, I knew this film a lot when I was younger from the WrestleMania 21 thing. I don't know if any wrestling fans remember, but they used to do like these movie trailers for WrestleMania 21 because they were going Hollywood. That was the thing. And it was a Gladiator one that premiered at the start of WrestleMania, you know, in 2005, and it's Stone Cold Steve Austin as Maximus, and he goes, "My name is Gladiator." And I just thought, like, the WrestleMania version, the WWE version, was almost better than the real one, because it was, again, this lazy sort of delivery of the lines, you know, and Joaquin Phoenix, oh my god, wake up, son. Oh my god, so frustrating. He's like, rise, rise. How dare you show your back to me? Slave, you will remove your helmet and tell me your name. And then Thingby turns around and he goes, "My name is Gladiator." And I was like, what are you doing? This is like the biggest moment of the film. You're revealing yourself to... well, not revealing yourself, but you're showing that it's you. You know? You're revealing your identity to Caesar again after he's killed your family. And he's like, "My name is Gladiator." And Joaquin Phoenix is like, and it's like, what are you doing? Oh, he was pish. Anyway, there you go, Gladiator. Not my favourite, but again, an absolute classic, and it's a film that you must see before you die, I suppose. So thanks for watching. I'll be back for another review very soon in the 100 Movies Bucket List series here on CM42 TV. Get it on Twitter. Get me on Twitter at CM42 TV. And until next time, folks, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe.